So what was my childhood like? I had a wonderful childhood. A dedicated mother, a sister, and I had a daddy who adored us. Every time he came home, he had something for us every day. He was the supervisor at the Department of Water and Power. So I had one of those great American households where you have a mom and a dad, and kids in the community, they thought we were rich because both parents worked and they were able to provide. And when my father got his income tax check every year, we went to Benihana's or somewhere fancy. You know, they exposed us. So I had a great childhood and upbringing in the city of Compton. I attended Dickinson Elementary School, but before Dickinson was built, I went to George Washington for kindergarten. And then Dickinson was built, and then I went to Davis Junior High School. When I graduated from Davis Junior High School, I was valedictorian. And then I went on to Compton High School, and I graduated from Compton High School. I was a cheerleader and in the top 20 of my graduating class. So great experiences. I went to Compton schools for my entire K through 12 education. I was a good student. I was kind of shy, believe it or not. I was in early years, participated a lot in the after-school program. I'm very creative. I learned how to make jewelry and polish rocks and stretch glass and do ceramics and all of those kind of things in the after-school program. Grew up with some of the most notorious gangsters at that time. They were just guys in the neighborhood who claimed to be bad, but protected the younger kids in the community. And they had a sense of pride in the community. They were able to go into the schools after school. It was Dickinson Community Lighted Schools. And when you engage people, they're involved, they protect the environment, and they feel important because there's a role for everybody in the community, but they have to be engaged and invited to participate. My mother was involved in the community, and that's what inspired me to be involved in the community. She was PTA president, charter PTA president at Dickinson Elementary School. And she went on there to be one of the founders of one of the first after-school programs in California. And then when Reagan was elected and they stopped those kind of programs, she moved to senior citizens. So she directed Meals on Wheels here in Compton for 43 years. So she always taught us, if you're not happy about something, to get involved. And even if you're happy, there's opportunities for you to be involved in your community. So what my hallmark is my mother and her legacy, the legacy of serving this community for more than 42 years. You know, when people are struggling to make a name for themselves, I don't have to do that because my family has a legacy here. And what my sister and I do is just in addition to the great legacy that we already have. And my sister is a city councilwoman here in the city of Compton, and she actually sits in the council seat that my mother held for 8 years. So my mother is retired, or Councilwoman Emeritus Satra Zurita. So she transitioned into public service, as well as serving as the director of the oldest nonprofit here in the city of Compton. And she did that, she said, because she knew that she could do more for senior citizens and more for youth in the community as a policymaker. How did I get involved in civic leadership? Well, again, my mother was a great example, and I first ran for city clerk. And that was maybe 15 years ago now, and I didn't win. But 2 years later, the teachers union asked me to run, and when they asked me to run, I said that I'll run, but there's one thing: my child doesn't go to school here in Compton, and she won't. I said I don't want her to be the subject of retaliation or privilege. I want her to have a normal childhood, and so she won't go to school here. And it was a really big decision for me to run. My mother had been arrested with other local leaders in the community. She had gone to jail on page 1 of the newspaper and was exonerated on page 26. I watched her age 20 years during the trial. So people thought that the Zurita name was a thing of the past. Many people said, oh, well, I don't think you're going to win because of the name. But lo and behold, I won overwhelmingly. I was second out of 4, and I've been on the board ever since, working, and I like local politics. And the reason I do, I said, because people can reach out and touch you. I see them in the bank. When I go to Kaiser, to the pharmacy, I have to pass 4 citizens in order to get my prescription filled and get out of Kaiser. And so being able to help people and actually see the results of the help it gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling. I wouldn't be able to get that on the state or federal level because you're so far removed from the people that you represent. So I love Compton, and I love being able to serve the people in Compton. Well, what keeps me going are the successes. The increasing graduation rates, almost 90%. Being able to close the opportunity gap for our students, not just, make sure that they're good academically, but to provide opportunities for them that they might not necessarily have. Being able to make things happen. The new Compton High School, for example, is going to be a great sense of pride in this community. A couple of weeks ago, I got a text from a student that I know, and he said, can you help us with the winter formal? We're not going to be able to have a winter formal. And that's outrageous. And I immediately went to work, and he texted me this weekend, we had our winter formal, So being able to do those kind of things makes it all worthwhile. Seeing our students perform and excel in robotics and coding and performing arts and acting and all of the great things that our students do, that's what makes it worthwhile for me. Potential-wise, we've always had to be much better than everybody else. And I say that because I was a student in the Compton Unified School District, you know that you have to perform better. You know that you have to strive harder. You know that you have to do much more and stand out more in order to be considered successful or good. I like to say great out of Compton. And, to know us is to love us. People hear things about Compton and they have preconceived notions about people and the community, and those things aren't true. Compton is like any other community. One of the greatest issues and concerns I have right now, and I'm looking for the support of my colleagues, which I think I have, is to start an initiative for the African American male child, as well as female. We've done very well at English language learning for the past 2 or 3 decades. And our students who speak English, for one, we should be teaching them Spanish with the same fervor we teach other students English, because everybody knows that when you apply for a job now, you're a top candidate if you are bilingual. We become a great role model for districts, urban districts across the country, with our cutting edge methods and our operations and our ability to change our graduation rate, all of those things. Our students, when they leave Compton and Compton Unified School District, they should be ambassadors for Compton. And in that, I believe they should be cultured, not just academically, but socially, athletically, because a lot of our kids excel in athletics. Our students should be well-versed in etiquette. When you're confident, when you go somewhere and you're confident, you're successful, you feel good. And it's just great to know that our students are well-educated and well-rounded. One of the next accomplishments, one of the things that I want to ensure as a board member is that we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool at the new Compton High School. I think that the facility, I know the facility is going to be a state-of-the-art learning environment where students will thrive. It'll instill a sense of pride in the community, especially with the Performing Arts Center. And I want to make sure that we provide every tool necessary for our students to excel. We haven't had any Olympic swimmers. And the reason we haven't is we don't have any Olympic-sized swimming pools in this community. And there's nowhere for them to hone their skills or to learn or to be trained. So I'm excited about that, ensuring that we have the facilities necessary for our kids to excel. The state of public education, I believe that teachers should be paid more. There's not enough money to do all of the things that we need to do to ensure that students learn well and have the tools necessary to learn. I think it's also important that in the future, consideration is made for the profession of teaching. So how do I think that young women should get involved, or a career pathway? Well, first of all, I think that young people should come in the environment and engage, friendly engagement. I think that you should come in and find someone to mentor you and help develop you to be leaders of the future. I'm nurturing by nature. I'm willing to teach you and show you whatever I have, but it depends on how you approach me, because diplomacy is one of the most important characteristics for a great leader. Me Too, it's an awareness, and it has existed for a very long time, and I have my own hashtag Me Too's. I have 2 documented cases of sexual harassment. The first was in 1992, and then last year, everybody jumps in the movement. Who are the people that really struggle, and the people that stand with the people that struggle? Those are the people that I really respect. So, and I often say at school board meeting, if you're being talked to inappropriately, if you're being touched inappropriately, if you feel threatened by someone in your workplace, call me, and I give the phone number, 310-420-1104. That's my cell number. My cell number is on my business card. So I'm probably one of the greatest advocates for any employee or anyone anywhere who feels threatened, intimidated, harassed, because I've experienced all of those things myself, and it's not comfortable. It sometimes affects your health, and it certainly affects how you feel. This year I had probably one of the greatest challenges of my life. I was diagnosed with breast cancer July 10th, and I could have had a lumpectomy and radiation and chemo, but I decided not to do that. I wanted to be aggressive with cancer rather than let cancer be aggressive with me. So I had a double mastectomy August 24th, and I say that the Lord saved me, because it was a lump I never would have felt until it was way too late. The Lord saved me because of the work that I do in this community. My sister and I, we had our 6th annual Compton Walk for a Cure the 2nd Saturday in October, and I was only about 5 weeks out from the surgery, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to come to the walk. And I was in the middle of a campaign for school board. So I did make it to the walk, and I did talk about my battle with cancer. And the reason I did is people need to know, if you don't have a testimony, if you don't have a test. In this country, 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer. And I feel like I was the chosen one. Out of my 8 friends, my sister, my girlfriend Tana, Alma, a couple of other very close friends, because the Lord knew I was the most resilient. My sister has an 11-year-old. That would have been horrible. Tana, her husband, and her son died within the last 2 years. All of them have some kind of challenge already. So it was for me to do this, and the work that I do in the community, like I say, is what I believe saved me. And I'm excited about being a greater advocate. It's one thing to be an advocate, but it's another thing to be a person who has experienced both sides of the illness. What inspired me to do the Walk for a Cure, I met a 17-year-old student who had breast cancer. And at the time, they had the high school exit exam. And she didn't pass the math, and so she couldn't participate in graduation or prom or those kind of things. And the mother sought me out. She came to City Hall, and she was crying. She was hysterical, and I couldn't understand why. And then when I started to talk to her, I found out that her daughter, 17, had had breast cancer and had been in the hospital most of the school year. She passed the English portion, and she missed 1 point on the math. And I was outraged. That was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for a child who may not, you don't know what was going to transpire in her future. And it's just important that we're considerate and that we understand people and we listen and we hear their concerns. And if we can make adjustments, then we should. Every student from Compton that gets a great scholarship has a horrible story to tell about Compton in their personal statement. You know, I had to duck bullets, or I had to sleep on the floor because I was afraid of being shot. That's not really the case in probably 99% of those cases. There are great things that happen in Compton, and there are great other ways to be accepted into college. Community service, you know. We have the Jefferson Foundation working with our students, so they have opportunities to get engaged in volunteerism. Other communities, volunteering is part of their culture. You go to the hospital, they're candy stripers, they're working at the desk in the hospital, they're working at the library in the community, and they're able to provide those opportunities. Whereas in our community, oftentimes we start working at 16 because, you know, our parents are struggling and there may be things that we want, so we quite naturally go find a job. But in order to fully culture our students, we need to encourage them to volunteer as well. And so I say it's a great day in Compton because for me it is a great day. And people need to know that there are many, many great days in Compton. And there are many people that are great out of Compton. It's a great day in Compton. And I'm happy to say it, and I'm happy to be known to say that. And more people should say it because it feels good. And the more you speak things, the more they happen. The students in Compton Unified are phenomenal. They're able to achieve things that other students don't achieve in other communities, even without the tools that they have. And what is so great about having iPads and tablets in 9 of our schools now is that it gives students the opportunity to go to Paris, to go to the beach, to make music, and to do all kinds of things on those devices that they wouldn't get the opportunity to do. Some of them don't have iPads at home. So to have the opportunity to provide opportunities that they wouldn't necessarily have is a really great feeling for me. It's a great day in Compton, and it certainly is when our students have almost a 90% graduation rate. Our dropout rate has decreased phenomenally. They're winning national competitions in robotics and coding. And we're just providing a well-rounded, we call it wraparound education for our students. The turnaround is real, and it's a great day in Compton.